So it is Saturday, March 23rd, 2024. I'm out of here. You guys have fun. Yo.
Why don't you give me control of the share screen?
Yeah. Let me, I was going to do that and then turn the meeting over to you.
And you didn't have a video this week yet, Bob?
Nope, because I was out at the pond this morning, so I still got to edit that footage. I had the big Akula out and I had Seaview out. So that hopefully in the morning, once I have a chance to edit all that stuff. Okay, now I need to, okay.
Could I pop a quick question before we get started?
To me or to the group?
For the group.
Oh,
just
okay. Well, I'm gonna leave then. you guys have a good time.
All right, Bob.
All right, Bob. Bye-bye. Yeah, my question, I've got brass sleeves and I want to use 404 stainless steel rod inside the brass. Is there a problem with the intermixing of the two metals?
Electrolytically, yeah, but you're in fresh water, so don't sweat it.
And most likely for how long the boat's going to be in the water. You know, if you have a real boat like I do and you have a boat in the water, then you have to worry about electrolysis.
What's the action of the stainless in the brass? Is it rotary or a linear action? Is it lubricated?
Okay, what I'm using them for, the sleeve is for rudder, and then the rudder arm itself is going to be 16th inch stainless steel. Or would I be better just to stay with the brass?
Better to stay with light metals in water.
Okay.
If you have a choice, if it's easier to sleeve brass onto stainless in fresh water, don't sweat it. You're fine.
The problem I've been having with the brass, it's such a small wire that, you know, manipulating it and everything, I find it's bending sometimes when you put the pressure to it with the links, but with the stainless steel, I've got a lot more strength there where they're not going to be so apt to bend. Maybe I'm way out on it and worry too much.
Well, we're talking push rods.
Yes.
Just put a, you know, if you're flexing, which is getting a little distortion in the translation from the servo to the control surface, the flexing, of course, degrades the registration of the motion. If that's a problem, they just put a simple bearing, journal bearing, somewhere along the length of the rod so that it will not flex. And that bearing could be nothing more than a transverse bulkhead with a tight hole in it.
Okay.
Keep it simple.
Shaft support.
Yeah.
Dum 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 dum. Long awkward silences.
Yeah.
Well, it's early yet.
Yeah. You guys get any snow down that way, Dave?
No, we haven't had snow for 2 years.
We had a dump just last night, flew in about 6 inches.
6 inches, huh?
Yeah, it's already starting to melt, you know.
Yeah.
It wasn't too bad. The wife was out shoveling it, so.
You can. Oh, poor you. What happened?
Carpal tunnel surgery.
Okay.
I just had the surgery on Wednesday, so.
Anything to get out of shoveling snow, huh?
No, I'm empowering women. They fought for their rights.
Oh, oh,
Man.
enjoy the couch time.
She's waiting on me hand and foot.
I hope she reviews this later.
She's got good humor.
Good. They're the best ones.
Yeah. Yeah, well,
All right, listen, guys, we're starting this thing without Bob. I've got the helm. It's a free-for-all.
what, no more to sea view discussions?
Oof.
I think we beat that to death, haven't we?
What a bloodletting that last post was.
Uh,
Ugh.
what a guy. He's a piece of work sometimes.
Ugh.
Uh,
Oh, what the hell were you thinking?
uh, oh, well.
I never had any trouble with him, but I think he knew better.
Yeah. Yeah, we had a few words over the year, but that was accusations on his part towards me, and what I did with my version of
Of all the things that get your nuts in a bind over, a fictitious submarine isn't one of them.
it. Yeah, I guess it bit into his income or something, maybe.
That's not the hill to die on.
Yeah. Nobody even remembers it. Half the kids today couldn't even identify it.
Yeah, they think it's a street address.
Yeah. It is. It's a hotel motel.
That's right. We have a sea view here in Norfolk.
You gotta see, yeah. So who's working on what? Come on, somebody say something. I've got nothing going on.
Speak up.
Mike?
Well, I've done a couple of things here, and Dave will be proud of me. If you look over my left shoulder here, I got my drafting table all set up because of our discussions on proper prior planning and making sure that things fit on paper first before you put them into the boat or start building it. So,
Yeah.
and the reason I did all of that is because of my German 212 boat and the size of the stern. The other thing I did with it, I took the files and I broke it in half so that I've got now it's a lot easier to work in there to get all that mechanism in there. So that's what I'm working on right now. And then with the discussion on the drafting work and stuff like that, and stuff I've seen that Dave does and a lot of you guys do, I can understand now that, doing a pre-drawing of what you want to do and size it out that way first, and then you can go ahead and manufacture your parts. It makes a lot of sense to me. So that's what I've got going on right now.
Well, good for you. Good for you. Come on, Ken, you got to be doing something.
My party boat,
Well,
non-submarine, I'm making life rafts.
how many?
Well, it only needs 3, but I'm making 5. They're about 3 inches by 3 inches.
Yeah.
So I'm working on that so that I can make the mounts for that, so I can put the mounts on the top deck so that I can spray paint the top deck.
Want to be ready for Groton?
Yeah, I'll bring it up to Groton. I want to. And I also have to build basically a 14-foot boat down to 7 inches, sort of like a lapstrake rowboat. Something that I've never done before. And I've started on the plans for that, so that's going to be an experiment.
Yeah, yeah. You're gonna make it with paper or wood?
No, I'm probably gonna make use frames as sort of a mold, and then the bottom will be flat, which will be about a 1/2 inch or so, and then there'll be a keel, and then it's going to be lapstrake. So I'm going to use try out with 32nd inch plywood.
Okay.
So see how that goes. And and then I have to do, what is it called? Spiling, I guess it is. Spiling, which is where you measure the distance from, say, the keel to the gunnel at the distance at the different parts of the boat. And then you divide that by how many strakes that you want. And then you have to vary the thickness of each strake before you make it and put it on. So it's a rather tedious, confusing thing.
I see a lot of paper templates in your future.
Yeah, probably so.
Well, good. Make sure you take pictures and post them. Don't be shy because it's not a submarine.
No, I know. I know. I'm finding that as I build this boat, it's like you build the hull, then you work on the deck, then you do the cabin, and then you do the upper part. Then you go back to the hull and get more stuff done on the hull, and then you go to the cabin. You sort of like rotate through the different sections. My final pass, I'm sort of like on my second pass, second iteration of it. The third iteration will be, or the fourth iteration will be detailing it, putting in more seats and, making the heads and different things like that. Well, wiring is in there too, because there's going to be a lot of wiring. For the wiring, everything's going to be attached to the upper deck, and I'm going to use copper foil tape to run the lines to each of the individual lights.
Okay.
So I had got pictures of it all. I got it all on my website and everything. So
Well, share it. Well,
yeah. Well, I post the pictures on Bob's forum, and and I don't update my website. So
Wait a minute. When you say Bob's forum, are you talking about Nautilus Drydocks or?
yeah,
Okay, good.
yeah, You've seen it. You've commented on it. My party boat builds.
All right. Yeah, I've seen it. Keep it up.
Yep.
Well, who else has got something to talk about here? Come on. Go. Got to turn on your microphone there.
Well, I'm still working on the 202 that I was talking to you guys about.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I'm on my phone, not my computer, so I'm having a hard time making it work.
Yeah, okay. Mr. Kinkle, can't hear a thing.
Got to turn.
There we go. There we go.
Go ahead.
Now let's see if I can flip this thing around. How do I do that? Doing it on my computer is a whole lot easier than doing it on my phone. Guys, anybody can help me? How do I flip my image? Found it. Think. Well, I thought I found it.
Is it an iPhone?
Yeah, no, it's an Android. That.
If you click on your face, you should be able to change it.
There we go. All right, so that's what I've been working on. I had it in the water for the 4th time this past weekend.
And
I want to say right off the bat, this is by no means an accurate depiction of a submarine with details, and I don't need a 3-page argument about how I screwed it up. But that is based upon deep flight.
right.
And it's 2 motors,
Wow.
props back there.
Yeah.
Dive planes work. These are static planes, 2 motor controls, camera up front. This actually, the strut here is solid copper. That's a 3/4 inch copper pipe with steel bolts in it. Cut off the head of a 3/4 inch bolt, put them in there with some little foam pieces so I can move the weight around as I needed to. 2 motors, what else? The cute part, this is nylon. I had this 3D printed this out of nylon, had it professionally done. The rest of this is my 3D printer, which is just ABS. And the thing I was testing this past week was the ballast. Let me put this down a second. Hold on. Upside down. Okay, pretty unusual ballast. It is a juice bag. And then over here on the far end, there's 2 micro diaphragm pumps. And then 2 micro switches with little feelers that come out here that stop me from pumping when I'm dry or over pumping it.
Yeah.
And then these other things, the first time I've used them, they're kind of covered in silicone right here. But those are PWM to basically a little cube relay. And so I'm running things 5 volts in here. And oh, and the other big thing I made different is I went to 900 megahertz. I was driving it at a different frequency. And I got a video, I put it up on YouTube. I got about 2.5 feet down before my failsafe kicked in and she pulled back. And that's about it. I almost want to say this is done, except I got some 3D parts I printed to make it look a little bit more like the original submarine from Deep Flight Aviators.
Yeah.
Do you guys even know what I'm talking about when I say deep flight?
Yeah, it's that aerobatic submarine. I think they went commercial with that vehicle, didn't they?
Well, this one was the first. And it was a single man, and his head was here, and his legs was horizontal.
Oh, that's when they really wanted to go deep, stupid deep, right?
Stupid deep, and I think it's pretty much neutrally buoyant, and then the wings act as negative lift to drive it under.
Right, right. Yeah.
And he made this one. He had a good time in it. He did a TED talk on it, and then it kind of disappeared.
Yeah.
And I saw it in a museum in San Jose. I didn't physically see it, but I heard it was in a museum. And then he went on to make the Deep Flight Falcons and other submarines that were flat with bubbles on top, and the people sat in it, and multiple people.
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of a rich man's toy.
It is a rich man's toy. He was a rich man. He was some executive out of Autodesk, Hawkins.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I'm familiar with the genesis of what you're doing there. And that's a very interesting vehicle. When might we see some video?
it's on YouTube right now.
Oh, well, I'll look for it when we're done today. Thank you.
Yeah. Tinkle. What can I say? I think that's my account name.
I'll take,
And I'll send it to you if I can. You send something to me, I'll send it to you.
I'll find it on YouTube.
Okay. Okay. So that's been my project, and after that I go into repair work. I broke my shark, my Gropner shark.
Oh,
It
yeah.
goes too fast.
Never-ending process, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, Tom, what are you up to?
I had to unmute. Let's see, what am I up to?
Yeah.
Well, I'm building Small World Models WTC. Wow, it's it's invisible. Let's see, here we go. There we go. I'm kind of recreating it in 3D.
Yeah.
So this is the unit that held the battery, and then this is the ballast system. And then I've got let's see what else. Well, and the other thing I'm working on it, and it's not even sub-related. I got commissioned to build tank parts for a company. This is a 1/6 scale tank. So
Resin?
yes.
Oh, I need your help.
So I'm in the meantime doing that because I have a 1/6 scale Tiger 1 that I'm going to be building. And when I reached out to the company, because the kit I have is very old, he goes, well, I need to update my parts. And so we started talking, and that's how it all came down.
Oh.
So
Yeah.
anyway,
So you've been conversing with Jake.
Yes, yes.
I had him in here earlier today.
Oh, really? Yeah. Yeah, so I found the owner of the company and he's been wanting to rebuild his Tiger One line, so that's what we're doing.
Wow.
Yeah. But I'm really excited about this. I want to, I'm waiting for some parts to finish up the, like the servo mounts here. And well, I got a shelf rack that kind of clips in. Boy, this thing is just kind of disappearing here. So I have like a shelf rack that clips in. The bow is very simply a cone shape, which is what Dave used
Hey,
on
man,
some of it, yeah. So on some of his subs. He also had one that was more kind of squarish, but so just playing, having fun.
good for you. Hey, I want
Thank
to
you.
go on record here for a moment, particularly for Frank. Last time we were talking, I incorrectly stated that viscosity was a consequence of a durometer check. It's not. I was wrong. I just want to go on record. Frank, you were right. A durometer has to do with the hardness of something. So I bow to your wisdom there.
I'm taken aback. You're a good man.
No, you had it right and I had it wrong. I just wanted to get the record straight.
Well, someone brought it to me. There's another kind of measurement of the softness of some. It's
Sure.
sure. Yeah. Yep.
Sure.
Shore and Rockwell. And
Okay.
the Europeans have about 4 other standards of hardness.
Yeah. Ray was looking into casting rubber, and they called it out in Shore. And I said I thought it was durometer, but you know.
Yeah. And with Shore, you've got derivatives of Shore. You got Shore A, B, C, D, almost the whole alphabet. And I believe the Shore standard they're using is Short D, which deals with rubbers and softer things, whereas Shore A deals with very stout things like metallics.
Okay. Yeah, I was just working on
There's
my.
one small thing I want to bring up about three. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Tom. We're all
In the 3D printing, I found I'm sorry, I found a flaw in my 3D printing. And it's on the piston system. If you leave a little bit of water in there, the 3 to 6% that piston head grows is enough to seize it in the cylinder.
get a better connection, Tom. You're in and out.
Yeah, Tom, you're breaking up.
But I think what you're saying is that when you 3D print resin, it absorbs water and swells?
Yes. Yeah, that's correct.
I didn't know that. I print ABS but I only use it for like dive planes and stuff because it's water permeates through it. So it's not anything you can use for an end cap.
That's the thing about 3D
It's not a
printing.
quick process. It takes hours or days. And what happened is I had a test WTC that I had been playing with it. I set it aside and I didn't fully empty the cylinder. So the little bit of water that was in there was enough to swell the piston. Pissed me off.
Yeah. I used nylon on this. My end caps, I designed on CAD, 3D printed them in ABS, test fit them, decided it was good enough to spend probably it was $84 for 3D printed parts. And they were nylon with the HP I want to say MJF method, which is kind of like a powder. And they do a powder resin or a powder light. I think it's proprietary HP's method of 3D printing nylon 12. And it's the reason I picked it is because it's as close as I can find to being totally watertight. Am I gone or are you gone?
No, you're live and well.
So what happens to these 3D printed resin submarines?
He's saying they swell if you keep them in water.
Oh, if you keep them in water.
If you keep water around them.
I see.
Yeah. I have been.
Go ahead.
I have
All
been
my
collecting
boats
these little
Every boat I have built, and I haven't used anything from, I've been 3D printing now for almost 10 years. Everything I build is PLA. And on my submarines, I've gone in and used resin to seal the interiors of all of them. And end caps that I've made, I've also sealed those up with resin, and I haven't had one problem with water entrance anywhere, as long as I've done a good job of applying resin to the product itself.
Rob, you say resin, are we talking epoxy?
Yeah, the two-part, it's kind of a finishing resin over and above the heavier stuff.
Is it West System?
This is the one I've been using. It's called Z-Epoxy.
Okay.
It was used basically for aircraft building, you know, for RC airplanes too, for using.
For laminating glass.
Right.
Ah,
But I use it just, I thin it out just a little bit so that I can get good coverage and not have a big glob of everything.
what do you thin it with, Rob?
I use denatured alcohol, and you have to mix it up, you know, to get it to the right consistency. So when you brush it on, that you can actually watch it seep into the pores. Even printing at 100%, you still need to do something to seal it. And I do all my boats on the interior, and then some of them I've put a coat on the outside and then pre-sanded it before I primered it. But I have yet to have a problem of water soaking in or out of any of my boats. And I've had some of them in the water. I left one in overnight just to see what it would do, because I was just beginning this, and no water seepage whatsoever to the interior.
Rob?
And you're doing it in end caps too, also.
End caps as well, yes.
Now, Rob, I got a question about the resin. How well does it adhere to your 3D printed material?
Well, to the PLA, David and guys, if before I apply it, I make sure I wash out the PLA even, you know, with either soap or water, really give it a good wash down, and then maybe lightly sand it so you get a little bit of, you know, you break up the particles and stuff, and then flush it out again, let it dry good, and then go back in, because you got to make sure prior to putting this on that if you do use water or a liquid to clean it first, you got to let that fully dry, or it has already seeped into even at 100%, it's going to seep over time. But then once you apply this afterwards, you virtually got, I put it in the basis of ABS or even some of the better product that's out there. But it takes a little more time. But my printer only does PLA. Being as I'm in a home inside shop, the environment, the fumes and stuff, I can't do it. So that's why I've stayed with PLA. But everything I've done has always been, you know, almost 10 years of 3D printing is PLA, and I love the stuff. But there is some preemptive work that you have to do afterwards to make it suitable for water.
Do you have any problems with heat, sunshine, melting?
Yes. Yeah, and I'm in Arizona, so
Oh, yeah.
if you put a bolt in the water out here, you get 30 minutes on it. You better, don't just bring it back and put it on top of your table and leave it, because it will warp. There's no doubt about it. That's the one drawback to it. You've got to make sure you have your fun with it and then get it back into a good temperature environment. So.
Well, I just bought, and Dave, I hope you forgive me for this. I bought a resin printer, and but I had bought 3D printed submarine from Bob, and it was during the time when the heat in Texas was 3 digits, and I guess it took its time coming over here with our carriers, and God knows how long it was in those trucks and whatever. But this thing was so warped, it took me forever to get this thing back. I got it back. I mean, with a hair dryer and pushing and pulling and this, that, and the other thing. But since then I've put a layer of glass on the inside, and the outside I'm just going to coat with a coat of very fine, I guess they call it 3/4 ounce glass. It's almost like a nylon stocking. And I drilled holes throughout the whole submarine so that the resin will go through like a rivet and hold itself on. But that was like 3D printed, and I'm not sure if it's resin printed or it was, filament printed, but I'll find out.
Well, it'd be interesting to see how that works in the water, Frank, to see if you have any absorption problems with it.
Right. Well, this is what I'm just listening to you about, and I'll try. I have the front section of it's the 571. The front section comes off, and it's I'm gonna make it stay separate so that I can access the torpedoes. And I'm going to try this, soaking that in a while. I'll take some really good measurements with a caliper and write everything down and see what happens,
You have to do it by weight. Weigh it before, soak it in water, take it out, weigh it again.
Good idea. That would tell you if it absorbed water. Yep.
Yeah. It's resin. I'm everything I know about resin is that it's a little more brittle.
Yes.
His PLA, I use ABS because I just like using acetone, and it's not brittle. I mean, it's very stable material.
Yeah. The reason why I went resin was because I feel like you can get a lot better detail.
Yes, you can.
Yeah. And the only reason why I got it was because I have trouble getting figures, the right scale and stuff like that. So that's the reason why I bought it. And the only other reason I'm going to use it is to make bracketry for holding the ballast tank and stuff. And I can make them beefy where I don't think brittleness is ever going to come into play. But that's all I really want.
I custom mix my resin that I use in my 3D printer. I use Ceratec, and they have one that's called Tenacious, and Tenacious is a softer resin, and I mix it with the gray, and I don't know if you can let's see. Here, you can see I can squeeze the end and it flexes.
Oh yeah.
And can bounce it against the table, and it's okay, invisible, but okay. But so you're not stuck to just one type. You can mix some together to get the custom hardness or softness that you need. I'm about to play with adding what's called blue. Blue is great for if you want to tap into it. It prevents the cracking and chipping around the edges, and so I'm going to add a little bit of blue into this. And I use a lot of screws. Yeah.
So I have both a filament and a resin printer. I got a bigger resin printer so I could start printing out hulls, and then I realized anytime I looked at it or it slightly fell, I didn't have to split the hulls anymore because I had 1,000 pieces everywhere. But then after watching David with his machining and whatnot, it inspired me to actually get an industrial printer so I didn't have to do that type of machining. And this one I can't print PLA in it, but ABS comes out beautiful. You know, I'm working on one of the Nautilus subs that's on that Bob sells, modifying it quite a bit because I ended up getting at a large screw that I wanted to put in, and so I had to modify the size of the area for the screw. If it was PLA, it'd be a lot. I'm not PLA. If it was resin, I'd have to remodify the prints and whatnot. But this new printer I have, you know, it's great. A little on the pricey side, but it's heated chamber. Don't have to worry about heating the ABS after that. It works great.
What did you go with on your 3D printer?
I went with the Cheedy QI-DI Max 3. It's got a 300, but pretty much a 350 millimeters cube that you can print in. I mean, it's.
Is he talking about a resin or a filament printer?
No, this is a filament printer. So this is just one piece that I printed inside, fairly large. In fact, this middle piece is probably even larger. So you get really big prints out of it. I've had a couple other printers that, you know, I've always had to do a lot of rework on the ABS or PLA if I was using it. This one, I don't have to do much rework on the surfaces. I mean, I'm still getting the striations and whatnot, but I finally found a good primer I can put on it.
And how do you attach yours?
Right now I'm using luckily these have the pinholes, so I mean that'll give me the good alignment. But I'm using the black CA glue, the rubberized CA glue right now. When I get everything done, I do plan on putting resin on the inside just to strengthen it up even more.
I use if you're using ABS, acetone is the solvent for ABS.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes I use straight acetone, a piece of foil, put some acetone on it, put the piece sitting there for a moment, pick it up, put the two together, or a slurry.
Yeah.
But that said, I have a Roby Seawolf that I redid the entire hull in ABS, and my bulkhead seams are starting to show signs of pulling apart. So, you know, maybe the concept of doing fiberglass on the inside is something that has to be considered.
Yeah. But when I bought this sub, I had the intentions of using it to use it as a mold to make for a fiberglass layup, because I really believe in fiberglass layup. It's worry-free. I mean, you don't have to worry about the heat. You don't have to worry about anything. And any modifications are a can of Bondo away. And, you know, but.
What does it cost you to do a fiberglass layup?
Well,
a typical hull.
Did you see that sea view that inaccurate sea view that Bob had?
Yes.
It burnt my eyes.
I made that. So it probably $350 worth of materials, but that's a big layup. There's multiple molds and everything. I mean, I know if I brought it to spec, it'd probably be a little less, you know, but you know, my inaccuracies were, what could I tell you?
You're not even talking labor yet, Frank.
Well, he asked me how much in materials.
Well,
right.
Tell how much in labor. You know,
well, that took me from beginning to end 3 weeks, but I had 2 different molds for the nacelles. So I am now revamping them, making them one. So I'm going to save about 4 days worth of work. And I'm revamping everything. And I bet you I can cut it down to maybe a week to where it's into primer.
Can you imagine how long it'd take if you did it right the first time? And it's a joke. Yeah. It's a joke. It's a joke. It's a joke.
Hey, Dave, I have a question for you. Years ago, years ago, I think that you sent me a drawing, and I want to see if you recall this drawing. because I have to leave. I've got an appointment I gotta go to. But
Keep it clean.
do you recall this? You do. I can see it on your face.
It's not mine.
Well, it's originally warship drawings by Edward Wisweiser. But
Yeah.
I think that you reworked the drawing with whiteout and reprofiled stuff. Do you recognize this?
Edward Westweiser is the worst draftsman I've ever seen on a stage. Yeah.
No, really, tell us how you feel.
Thank you for
By the way, before I go, I want to know how you felt about the inaccurate sea view.
You're asking me?
Yes.
Well, let me jump in here. The first time I took that from out of my basement and I brought it to Groton, it wasn't running yet, but it was basically all there. The stuff was working and everything like that. And Dave Merriman was the first person and the only person that criticized that submarine. And you know the handrails alongside the missile tubes? He said they were too thick. They should be about 30 thousandths. When I got home, I ripped them all out and I made them. Well, the paint buildup was, I started smaller so that with the paint buildup, it wound up 30 thousandths. But in my estimation, he's the only authority, you know, and Ray Mason also, because Ray Mason has really studied it. But Dave was there. I mean, and I took it as constructive criticism, not like this yo-yo from California who I don't even want to get going. But, you know.
But I still want to hear your opinion, Dave, before I leave. I got about 3 minutes.
About Frank's
Yeah.
work?
No, yeah.
Uh,
Because I thought it was outstanding myself.
the guy who launched the criticism, and by the way, I've never seen a Canadian hold back as well as Bob.
Yeah.
But I could see him frying, even when he was reading that letter that must have been the 5th reading. He was still getting hot under the collar. And it was just a joy to watch a Canadian almost lose it. I thought it was going to break into a hockey game any second, but he held it together. Now, about Frank's model,
Mm-hmm.
the only authority to me are the prototypes, and each and every one of those effects miniatures varied from the other.
And that was the other thing, because I think you've mentioned before the 18-foot, the 6-foot or 8-foot, whatever it was, and the little ones, they're all different. From
episode to episode, they would change, for crying out loud.
Not only that, from season to season.
Yeah.
Television show.
Yep.
No, listen, Frank did a wonderful job, and I wasn't busting his balls on the gauge of the railing.
No, I didn't take it that way.
Yeah, it was one of those little things that's a visual cue that will make or break you. And it was just a subtle little thing, but I'm sure Frank would agree, when you went to the smaller gauge, it rings true a little bit better.
Well, it's a magnificent model, Frank, and you did good.
Thank you so
Just
much.
want you to know.
Thank you so much.
Nah. Those dive planes, they gotta be pulled off. Other than that, it's great.
All right, gentlemen, I gotta go. You guys have a great day.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
If I could, while we are on the subject of adhesives for our filament building, I got this from Bob Martin. I use a soldering iron. Now on the seams, this particular one has edges, and with the pins, like Stephen was talking about, using the pins and the glue, and then coming back with a small 38-watt soldering iron. I just went around those edges and melted the PLA, and that gives you that little extra boot to hold the joints together better. So just passing that along. This was Bob Martin's idea. So
So you're actually
Big
future
welding.
Yeah. That
It-
makes
they
sense.
do, they do that with car bumpers too. When you get a tear in those vinyls, they take a soldering gun and go right through the seam to fuse it together.
Yeah, hot air welders with a filler rod too. We did that on
Yeah.
PVC pipe, putting some flanges on.
And the little wire Zs that you can heat up on a hot iron, you push it into the material. I've seen it on cars, like you were saying, where they want to seal a crack in a piece of plastic. And it's a piece of wire and it's S-shaped, and they heat it up and then they press it into the plastic and let it solidify. That's an idea.
Guys,
Hey, Ian, one more thing.
ah,
Here's another tool I use with the PLA. It's a PLA pen, and you can put PLA through the pen. It heats it up, and you can actually draw with it with the PLA filament. Or again, I can use them on seams on the interior and fill all the gaps. I use it on the outside if I get some gaps or something on the exterior of my model. I'll build up a little bit of this and then sand it down rather than using, epoxy fillers and stuff like that. So that's a good little tool for working your filament stuff. It's
Just don't mix that up with your e-cigarette.
There you go.
all right, I want to canvass the group here for a moment. We got a boating season coming up, and I'd like to see who's going to be making Groton this year. Raise your hand. Good.
I can, I'm driving.
Okay. You'll be there, right, Ed?
Yeah, I might as well start then. I'm working on a refit of a Type 212A, and I'm gutting something to do a refit there, but I'm like first and goal with a lot of things, but the problem is I'm first and goal with a lot of things. I have to clamp down on focus on one.
Who's going to Red Clay?
I am.
Okay.
Where is Red Clay?
Oh, that's Georgia. That's the DiveTribe thing.
Oh, Cohota, isn't that?
Subfist. Yeah, Cahuta.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and make that.
I have to point out that this deep flight that I showed you, one of the design criteria is it must fit in a carry-on. So I can transport it.
Well, we're going to see you at Red Clay.
I don't know about that, but at least I've got the right intention, long term.
Where are you at, John?
North Bay Area, San Francisco, North Bay, Sonoma County, wine country.
Hey, Dave,
Sir,
while we're talking about that, I'm gonna be making motel preparations or hotel preparations for Groton. Do you need a room?
well, that's very kind. I was going to stay at the on-base facility.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. That's very
Okay.
kind.
Retired military?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
The old sailor's home.
Fuck you.
How many here we have going to Groton? 2.
Me, you, Ray,
Ken?
Ed, Ken,
Tom,
Bob.
really? Tom, you going to go there?
I want to, and it's just depends on how the school year starts. If everything goes smoothly, I might have the time, but I may have to make a choice between Georgia and Groton, and I always wanted to go to Groton.
Well, keep us informed. Good. Good.
Well, in support of Groton, I love both venues, but in support of Groton, there's always, cross your fingers, a boat tour available. There may be a boat tour, not always, but cross fingers. You guys had one last year.
Oh, it was great.
It was awesome.
What boat was it on? Was it on an 88 or one of the Virginias?
A Virginia class.
Oh, really?
A starship.
Second best class in my opinion, but we won't go there.
What was the name of it, Frank? I can't remember. I have to go look at the T-shirt I bought.
I don't know. They wrote it underwater.
Uh,
I just had that shirt on the other day too.
was it the Oregon?
Yes. I
Okay.
think so. I have total recall, but it takes a while.
Mm,
So,
mine
are
was on days.
so for Groton, are you actually on the base or is there a pond outside of base?
No, you're on the base.
Okay.
You have to go through security. Ray needs your information so we can run it by. Last couple of years, they didn't allow non-US citizens. Once you go through security, they just check, make sure you're on the list, and then you get in. And you can go in and out of the base.
And yet a non-US citizen got on board a Virginia class.
Yes.
Not allergic to latex, are you?
Oh my goodness.
And when you go on, you can't bring no cameras. You got to leave your phones in the van or at the lake. Bring your wallet because at the end of the tour, they have stuff to sell you. T-shirts, hats, badges, and stuff. So
Yep. Well, let's do a Q&A. Anybody got any pressing problems that somebody might be able to fix?
you want to do a shop tour, I'll do that.
Let's do that.
Okay. Let me go in on my phone first.
This is being recorded, right, guys?
Yep.
Yeah, okay, because I can't really pay attention while kissing the back of a semi.
Pants aren't optional.
Doing a shop tour, you're looking at mine. And this is all I have right here.
This is my shop, my garage. Yeah.
Obscenity laws will not permit me to show you my shop.
Oh, really?
The screaming shithole.
What I remember of your shop, Dave, it's like Disneyland for modelers.
It's a two-person shop.
You want me to
But
go?
you had it was definitely, how do I put it? You're built for efficiency and production. It was
Yes.
very good to look at.
Okay.
Learned a lot just that one time years ago.
Thank you.
Want me to do mine, Ed? Dave?
Go.
Skunk works.
Am I doing it right? Let's see. You hit that. There we go. That's where I do a lot of the work.
Oh, way too organized.
And then that's my drafting table. I have a section with all stock and tools. Everything is organized. Here's the imperfect sea view upside down. Then I have another work table, and that's the Disney Nautilus there. And tools. That's my soldering section over there. And I have two band saws. One is for metal, one is for wood. And then this is another area where I do my measurements with the height gauge, and there's my lathe and drill press and stuff. Above there is a DeBoer sea view. And then this is the the rest of the shop, which is where I'm building that 571. And there's a radial arm saw back there, but a lot of the work is done right here, you know, with these 2 workbenches and the chop saw, and there's a table saw back there. And you can see the mold for the sea view standing up. And just more stuff to clutter up. And then over here under this bench, there's everything is all, see, I have to be organized because I'm old. And if I don't put it organized, I just don't remember where I put it. So everything has a spot and it has to go back to that spot. So those are my 2 new 3D printers over there. And hopefully I'll get into that. I'm really sorry, Dave. I had to do it, but just to keep my mind alive. But I'm hoping to use it. My hands will still be making parts. And that's about it.
What CAD programs are people using?
Fusion 360.
Fusion
Yep.
360.
Fusion 360.
I have an educator's license for it, so it's free and I get to use all the pro stuff on it.
Yeah, no matter what, you gotta use your brain first.
Mhm.
No matter what tool you grab.
But by that question, I assume you're fairly new to 3D modeling.
Who?
The one who asked the question about what is every CAD what program is everyone using?
Tinkercad.
No, I've been on CAD for 20 years. I just wondered what you
Okay,
guys.
it was, yeah. No, it's a mixture. Fusion 360 appears to be better. People just getting into it will learn on Tinkercad. Fusion 360s. I think Bob uses what? SketchUp. Number of available. Fusion 360, I think, is free. I have the free version, but it's less than 10 editable or up to 10 editable documents.
Yeah, but you can store uneditable. You can switch them around.
Right.
Yeah.
And FreeCAD is something to look at, though it tends to be a little buggy. At least the last version I was working on.
FreeCAD.
Ken, you were going to show us your shop?
Yeah, I just spent the last 5 minutes trying to figure out how to do it on the phone.
Yeah, it's tough, isn't it?
Yeah, I had to sign off my computer. So anyway, I don't know how well this comes across on the phone.
It's
So
fine.
yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got about 12 by 20 foot shop. I got when you come into it, I got my oscillating sander here. I got a bandsaw. The workbenches I built. I'll brag a little bit. The drawers, you know, the drawers on the bottom, they come out. They're separate from the workbench, and they the full extension drawers and everything. So, and then over here, I got my lathe.
I'm jealous.
Yeah, got my lathe, drill press over here. I got my supply of wood, which I use when I start building some boats. Well, Carol got me this for Christmas one year. This is my primary building workbench. You can see these are the life rafts that I'm making for the boat. I always wanted an electronic workbench, so I have this workbench over here, but I never use it. I'm always putting my soldering iron on this workbench, and I never sit down at this workbench over here. So it's mostly for storage, I guess, you know. But for this basement did not have walls at all. The concrete has insulation on it right here. So what I ended up doing is I didn't want to enclose the thing with all with full walls. So I took 2x3s, basically cut them in half and hung them from up here from the floor joist with 2 bolts, and that gave me like a half wall. So I got some storage up here. I had to start labeling everything because I didn't know what the hell things were in the boxes. So I got these two workbenches. Then over here, I pretty much have my transmitters and batteries. I got a table down here that basically storage and batteries and all that. I got my 23 right up here, which is someday I'll get to it. This is the current boat that I'm working on. It's a fishing boat, party boat, and the life rafts go up here. So this is the boat that you could see me on the what is it, the target section of the forum. So you can see that there. But I have, you know, some neat things on it. I got this door here which slides. So I had to really modify K&S brass. I had to take a square channel and make it into U channel so that that works. And then I got the seats were recently put on here. So got some more storage up there. The wood storage over here. And then this workbench here, not a workbench, but this storage cabinet. I have a machinist friend who passed away last year, and his sons went through and said, Ken, come on over and take whatever you want. So I ended up taking this entire cabinet. It had brass and paints and everything in it. So most of this stuff over here, these are electronic parts and some other hardware. So that was very nice of them to let me go through and have a lot of his things. But we're going to eventually move it over here. We got rid of some weightlifting equipment. So I'm going to put up some, move that workbench over to here, and we're going to put up some shelving and for storage over there. In one of the meetings a while ago, we had talked about how do you store your boats. So we have a finished basement. And so I got a couple of shelves mounted on the wall for the submarines. And then a bunch of future boats over there. A couple of speed boats over here. That's a friend of mine did a watercolor painting of one of my boats. This is the office where I'm usually sitting in at the computer. This is my drafting table. It's a teak table. It's about 8 feet long. One of my other party boats that I built, that's 5.5 feet. And so this is the room that I do most of my design work in. Got all kinds of things over here, nautical, sailboats, string art, and other boats, and pictures on the wall. So, and that's my workstation. So that's everything.
You do nice work, Ken.
Thank you. So that's about it. And I have no idea how to reverse this thing back.
Yes.
Touch the picture.
Yeah, I didn't mention I have another shop outside because I've mentioned a few times where the workbench rolls away and the test tank is underneath. But it's really nasty weather here today, so I'm not going outside. But it's a 2 foot by 2 foot by 10 foot test tank, and the workbench rolls over it. So when I trim the boats, I have an electric hoist that picks it up because the sea view is kind of heavy. And I roll the bench away, dunk it in, see how it's doing, raise it up again, roll the bench back, and then do my modifications and dump it in again. So I don't worry about the weather or anything, but it's nasty outside today.
So you guys had a talk about how to store your submarines, huh?
Yeah. That was an
Let's see
old
if I-
meeting. Yeah.
An old meeting. Let's see if I can flip it. Come on, flip it. There it goes. There was the design criteria. That's a carry-on Pelican style case.
I wish.
There it fits, all foam padded, and I can just roll it in and out of a hotel and into their swimming pool. And I wish I had my own swimming pool. But yeah, just wanted to show you the design criteria.
I don't think Frank would build a small boat.
Only if it's a CB thing that goes on top of the submarine.
Mm.
That would be cool. See,
Yes, the next one.
DSRV.
there's a guy on YouTube. He's Korean. His name begins with a T. He's building a what is it? You guys know better than I do. The recovery submarine, the
DSRV.
The Mystic.
DSRV. He's building one of those now. It looks similar to what I did, where you have the polycarbonate tube and then 3D printed end pieces. And he's got a bow thruster on it. But we need to exchange emails or texts, or somehow I can shoot you guys links to things I found.
It's on your bucket list, Dave.
My bucket list is on my wall.
It's the last one on it.
I got 30 yet to be completed models on the wall. And then I have at least 25 completed models in the upstairs storage. So I'm all set.
You still
How's
enjoy
that?
running?
Hmm?
Do you still enjoy running?
Yeah, but at 75, it's getting a little bit harder.
It helps
How's
when
that
there's a
Daniel
good
Webster
crew
looking?
around.
Hmm?
Helps when there's a good crew around.
Yeah, it does. It does. I thoroughly enjoy it. My operating season now is down to 3 major events a year. That's Groton, Red Clay, and North Carolina, thing called Fleet Run. And other than
So which is your favorite, Dave, among all those models? Your personal favorite?
Skipjack.
Have you run the Daniel Webster in the water yet? With the Fairplanes? Or the bow planes-ish?
We call it the wart. It's finished. It was trimmed out. It's received the basic paint so far. I'm going with the 2 scheme Pacific scheme that we operated with, and but I haven't weathered it yet. And the answer, I'd like to get it done in time for Red Clay. Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe this will be a good question that everybody can try and answer. How much time during the week do you spend working on boats?
With my wife not here,
Well, define the parameters of that. Is it total or per week or per month?
and are you retired or not?
Right.
For me, I'm retired. I would say I'm doing it from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. Saturday and Sunday is time for us, Carol and myself, so no work on Saturday and Sunday, but pretty much 9 to 5.
Yeah. If I could do it 7 days a week, 40 hours or 50 hours a week, I'd do it. But 6 o'clock, 8 o'clock, I stop and I go up, and then the rest of the night is with my wife. And during the day, I still cut my lawn and do all that stuff and everything. And I have kids that need things made and fixed and whatever, and grandchildren. So I try and put in an hour or 2 in the morning, and then and that's it. But I'll bet you a good 6 hours a day, unless I get caught.
Yeah,
I build
my week's very.
I build about 12 hours a week, broken up. Hopefully then you get a lot of time on a Friday, but I also have an every other week run period, which is about 4 hours every other week of run time only.
That's nice. That was actually gonna be my question back, was more importantly, not how often do I spend building, but how few hours I actually get to spend in the water.
No, running for me is very important. I spend all this time building the damn thing. I want to get it in the water, learn how to drive and dive it.
Yeah.
Well, now that I'm retarded, about 10 hours a week.
You wouldn't think that with all the pictures you posted in today's work, that in that forum.
Was that a cut?
No. Because it looks like you're just so busy. You're doing all this work. I know some of them are actually repetitive, but it's the thing where, hey, look what you can do if you assert yourself.
Well, I'm kind of in a teaching capacity now, so you're quite correct. A lot of what I'm posting is old stuff.
Yeah.
I hope it's germane to a current discussion.
Right.
Ellie used to warn me that you're gonna bore the shit out of people here. They're gonna run away from you. So I
Not really.
try not to do that.
Mm.
I think I have
Dave,
your
I've seen-
DVDs from like 15 years ago.
Hmm?
I think I bought some of your DVDs like 10 to 15 years ago on the Flying Sub.
Wow.
And I think I still have them.
I
But-
wonder if they still work.
I wonder, I don't even have a DVD player. I'd have to figure that one out. Yeah.
Dave, some of
All
your
right,
photos that I've seen from 10 years ago that you pop up again, I still learn from them. It's
Yep.
kind of like a refresher course. It's like, oh man, oh yeah. So
Yep.
I appreciate you posting your knowledge and doing the mind dump that you're doing.
Okay.
I pick out something every time I look at something, I may not see it one time through, but I'll come back to it and then, oh wow, I didn't even see that. And everything helps.
Even if it's, I'm never going to do that.
Right.
That last batch I got from you on my
Bye-bye, guys.
212,
Bye, John.
all kinds of stuff, information from you. And I certainly appreciate all of it. You got me into drafting.
Well, it's good to keep your mind and hands engaged.
That's right. Keeps you young.
I like that razor blade, the single edge Red Devil razor blade you had for doing the draft markings. That was a neat looking little tool.
It's called the chopper.
Yeah.
Original.
It looks neat.
That machine's about 30 years old.
Hmm.
And I've replaced the blade once. But it's very good. It's a very precise way of getting right angle cuts on lightweight stock, and particularly like in this example, decal paper, where I needed exacting lengths for the draft markings on a kilo. But yeah, it has quite a bit of utility. What do you got there, Frank?
Is that what you're talking about? Something like that? It cuts corners?
That's like a planing tool, isn't it?
Oh, okay.
Whereas mine is, it's a right angle blade to the work surface, which has a fence.
A guillotine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You'll see it pictured in recent posts of mine.
Okay.
I guess you'd call it a what I've done today blog or something.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what they're talking about. I don't think they make it anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
So, well, I've got the time. If you guys do, you want to do a Q&A, or people got things to do?
I need to leave because I've got some honeydew things to do.
Well, keep the peace, Tom. That's all important.
Absolutely. Peace and war. I always loved our emails with that.
Well, thanks for coming.
See you later, Tom.
Hi, Tom. You still have tooling for your old pump jets, Dave?
Yeah,
For the CV, you still have those tools?
yeah, still do. The only tooling I let go was all of the fittings kit stuff.
Mhm.
At one time, somebody was gonna take charge of that and produce them, but I guess they thought otherwise.
Good to know. Yeah, I don't know if they'll ever let us back on the base down there.
What, you Canadians?
Yeah,
You ruffians?
it's been years since I've been there. So,
Well, yeah, check with Ray. Maybe they've changed their policy.
Yeah.
we'll see.
Bob is a citizen now, so
Yeah.
Yeah. I still I like going to Carmel. It's not a bad drive for us. You've been there. It's a good venue. Like you don't care for the organization part, but it's mostly just us. Like the Rochester guys and the few diehards that go, and it's a good weekend. You know, good venue anyway. It's a few times we get to go out and run because there just doesn't seem to be any good spots around anymore up here. Everything's weedy, covered in goose poop, or no access to anything.
Or it's owned and operated by an association. It's a lot easier to say no than yes.
Yeah.
So venues are few and far between, and lawyers always invite people to say no.
Mm.
So,
I just want to play with my boat.
well,
Swamp paint and stories.
venue over here in Trashmore.
Yeah.
A couple of illegals managed to drown themselves in the lake, and their survivors sued the city, got millions of dollars, promptly sent to Mexico, and the city said no more model boats at Lake Trashmore.
So I guess they had to put up a new fence.
Well, what they did was they let the plants overgrow so you couldn't get access. So it's nothing but a weed jungle at the water line.
Yeah, our perfect park had a nice river, so there was very little weed growth, but it had control weirs to keep the level up. Now the city said the infrastructure has crumbled. They can't put the weirs back in, so now our river is like 6 inches deep, full of boulders.
Yeah.
I was like, it was perfect. We had washroom, shade trees, coffee shop, parking. It was perfect.
Well,
We could impress the Amish that came by on the weekends in the park. Damn English.
yeah. Oh, well.
So the hunt continues.
Well, bunch of old guys bitching about life. Huh?
I remember the old days. Waldorf and Statler.
Yeah. In the balcony. Yes, I remember that. Well, anything else, guys?
that's about it for me.
Yeah.
Time
You were
for a
talking-
nap.
You were talking about time in the water, and I have to say, with the sea view is a pain in the ass. Not because it's heavy and awkward. It's more awkward than anything else. But when I come back, because I made this thing do everything, there's a lot to clean, and so I'm going to limit it to like Groton and Cohote, Georgia, but I'm going to build another one, and it's only going to be limited to 8 channels. That's it, not 20 some odd channels. So it'll be able to be
4. That's all you need. 4.
No, you have to have something.
Radar.
That the Seaview has it, but and it goes up and down too.
Oh, more windows. You don't have enough windows. That's why yours isn't accurate.
More cowbell. More cowbell.
More windows.
But yeah, it's this one is a pain. And I see when Ed goes to the pond, he throws it in, sits back, puts his feet up, and he just has a ball. And that's what I'm after. But I want to do it with the sea view also. So I'm gonna make another one.
Well, just finish that DeBoer one.
Yeah, that's a nice one also.
So Frank, if you made it to Cahuta, what would you bring?
I'm planning on the sea view, the Disney Nautilus, and the 571. The 571 and the Nautilus are very close to getting painted, and then the rest is trim. So
You need a
Yeah.
flying sub. You need a flying sub, Frank.
see, because of what I did, but if you see this,
Yeah.
that was underneath the nose of my sea view. It was supposed to work, but because of all of lost the spot. So the next one will have that in it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, but to run it, it's fun to run separate too. Throw it under your arm and away you go.
yeah. Yep.
To run anywhere, it doesn't get hung up or anything. And you won't blow a nut lifting it out of the water.
Well, the sea view, it's not that it's heavy. It's just that you got to watch when you turn, you bang everything. So that's the problem. Not so much the weight. It's only 80 pounds, but you know, it's just awkward.
Mine's just half the length.
Yeah.
I really envy all you guys being able to go to all these meets and everything. It's sure, I wish I could do it, but health reasons have kept me basically locked up here. And thank God I got a swimming pool to get to. So
You don't
I
have
sure-
any trouble with Bob, you don't have any trouble with what is it, chlorinated?
Well, if I plan ahead, you know, maybe prior, if I know I want to go to the water during the week, you know, if I have to shock it. Now we're going into spring and summer, so I can kind of drop the chemicals just a little because we don't use it that much. We don't have kids over or anything like that. So
Yeah.
I can drop the chemical down to where I can get them. I can get my little Neptune down to about 2 feet. And then after that, if I drop it a little more, it goes right to the bottom. So, and I lost signal. So just have to
Well, I
keep the
wasn't thinking.
chlorine down.
The problem I had was I was testing the torpedoes for the sea view in my daughter's pool, and it's salt water. So I didn't think nothing of it. I rinsed it all off and everything like that. It was just 2 solenoids and 2 solenoid valves, and I forgot what, and something else. So, you know, I rinsed it off and I put it away, and then I went to go move things, and the solenoids, I took them apart. They were totally rusted inside, totally rusted. So that's what I was implying about the chlorine. Does that do anything like that?
Yeah, I haven't had any problem at all with that. Again, when I get through, I make sure I bring the boat in and pop the end caps and, you know, dry it out really well and everything, clean it up, pull the battery out mainly, so, and do my charging outside of the system. And
The cores on
I
the
probably-
solenoids are iron, pure iron, and they'll rust if you look at them wrong.
Yeah, well, this was all around the coils. That's what I couldn't believe. It was just rust all over the place.
That's oxide just coming off of the core.
Yeah.
I've had brass thumb nuts with current going through them for either fuses or lights, and they green up.
The positive terminals always go green.
Yeah. So my son-in-law asked me, "Are you ever going to put a submarine in my pool?" I said, "Well, I'm going to have to make one salt proof." That's all. Everything, nothing will be out in the wet.
Mike Dory could do it. He had to.
Did Warren Wilson pass?
Yeah,
Oh, when did he pass?
a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, okay, because I heard somebody say something memorial, and you know I saw him years ago in Groton, and then he was in Florida. Then wasn't he after that?
He was at Cahuta last year. Yeah.
Okay, but Mike's still with us, right? Mike Dory.
Yeah, I believe so. I haven't heard anything.
Yeah, he threatened to leave a few years ago, but too stubborn, I guess.
Yeah, well, they're getting better at cancer these days.
Yeah, that's true. Well, guys, I'm gonna head on out.
All right, take
Not
your
that I
leave.
got lots,
With
but
you.
keep
I
at
gotta
it
head out too. Thanks a lot.
All right, Rick.
Yeah,
next time.
okay. I'm gonna be leaving. Bye, everybody.
All right, bro.
All right.
Take care.
Thanks for your help, David.
Oh, you're quite welcome. All right, it's a Mexican standoff. Who's gonna drop next?
I'll go. I got a neat thing. April 13th, Carol and I are going to the Drydock tour of the Battleship New Jersey.
Ooh.
So we're going to go underneath the battleship and touch the underside, the propellers and the zincs and all that sort of fun stuff, you know?
Yeah.
So,
We got to do it for free in the Navy.
well, yeah.
Give you a paint scraper and say, "Get to it, asshole."
Well, every hour on the hour, I guess there's a different group of people going into the dry dock. So
Yeah.
it'll be very interesting to see. Our club back in the 90s, we took a tour when the Navy base was active, and we didn't know this, but when we came by dry dock number 3, there was, I don't know which one it was, an IA class sitting in the dry dock, you know, and we're like, holy shit, you know, we're not allowed to take pictures or anything like that, you know, so we weren't allowed to get out of the bus. So the bus just went around a couple of roads and whatever, but now we'll be able to go into that dry dock and see the New Jersey sitting there, you know, so
Well,
that'll be fun coming up next month.
How long of the trip is that for you?
Hour and 15, hour and a half.
Okay.
So
All right.
not bad, you know.
It's not gonna be an overnighter?
No. We'll just go down there. I think we go on at noon and then we're off at 1 and that's it. So I'll be wearing a GoPro on my chest or my helmet, and then carrying my camcorder, and then taking pictures and all sorts of things, you know, because it's a once in a lifetime thing to be able to do something like that, you know.
All geeked up.
Yes, absolutely. Then ultimate nerdness, you know. So yeah, I mean, you always see pictures of them you know, in dry dock, and all the Navy guys are walking around with their hard hats on and whatever, you know, but for to see something like this, I think it's pretty amazing, you know.
Good.
So we'll have fun. So anyway, thank you for being you.
Careful what you ask for.
I know, right? All right, David, take care.
Get out of here.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Oh, boy.